back at Kingdom Rush again. This is like my 4th video on this series. This video took me a while. This is the longest I've spent on any video actually. So if you could consider subscribing, that would help me a lot. In this video, I am going to rank every single tower from the original Kingdom Rush game at least. But this ain't just going to be a tier list, it's going to be a ranking from worst to best. So without further ado, let's answer the question. What is the best tower in Kingdom Rush? Number 8. The Barbarian Hall.
Time for blood!
The Barbarians suffer from what I call the Axe Thrower effect. This is when a tower needs its abilities. Like, without its abilities, it's pretty useless. And thus, it means it's much more expensive than it actually is. Sure, the Barbarians do damage, but that's only with their abilities fully upgraded. Now, I bet at least one of you in the comments are going to say you should pair them with Paladins so that the Paladins tank for them. But there's some problems with that. Paladins as well don't tank that good without Shield of Valor and Holy Grail. But for the Barbarians to unlock a ranged attack, they also need throwing axes, meaning you need 3 upgrades just to get a mediocre choke point. And since strategic points exist and there's only a limited number of them, it's much more of a loss than another tower defense game to pair barracks. To be honest, throwing axes is their only good ability. It is slow, but it does deal high damage. And every time I buy them, if I ever buy them, this will be the only ability I get. More axes is kind of worth it, because I mean, I'm not going to put them in melee combat much due to their lack of armor, and that will give them much less tankiness than the Paladin. If their third ability, Whirlwind Axes, was actually replaced with something that would make them tankier, I feel like that would be a better ability than Whirlwind Axes itself. As I said, I'm not going to put them in melee combat much due to their lack of armor, but this is just stupid, because if I ever put them in melee combat, it's going to be against single target, so I don't need a crowd control ability. This means that axe throwers also suffer from Archmage effect, which is where a tower is more cost effective if you don't buy the upgrades. This is counterintuitive, because axe thrower effect is the opposite of Archmage effect. And if you need the abilities, but it's also more cost effective if you don't buy the abilities, that doesn't work. That means Barbarians are really bad. They've always been bad. Number 7. The Arcane Wizard. The Arcane Wizard does good damage, and that's everything it has going for it. I mean, it's got the best insta-kill, one of the best at least, in the series. I mean, it's tied to a certain number of shots. This is much better than others, like Sniper Shot, where it is tied to a cooldown, but then with the cooldown is also tied to RNG. Or Polymorph, where you actually have to tap the sheep to kill them. Its other ability is Teleport. I don't need a crowd control ability on a high damage tower. Just like the Whirlwind Axes on the Barbarians. It's stupid. All I ever use it for is the memes, but I will never actually use it in combat. It does pretty high damage on its base attack, but other than that, I don't think it has much to do with, like, anything else. I mean, taking down the Juggernaut, I really don't know, it's outclassed by the Sorcerer in every way. Number 6. The Holy Order. I'm gonna call these guys the Paladins. The Paladins are tanky. They're really, really tanky. But that doesn't change the fact that barracks are usually gonna be ranked below other towers. They're barracks, like, I can't expect them to be better than others. Their Shield of Valor ability gives them high armor, which is really useful in a tanky barracks. They've got Holy Grail, which is a healing ability, and the other ability that I forgot the name of is just a high damage ability. Now, this ability, I'll only get it ever if I have extra gold, and I don't usually have extra gold, but still. I mean, sometimes they're useful, because, I mean, some stages you don't even want barracks at all, like Rotwick. Nevertheless, that doesn't change the fact that they are there. Like, they're just a support tower that doesn't do its job nearly as well as it should be to rank it higher on the list. It's not even that good of a barracks. Don't get me wrong, they can hold their own, but they're barracks. What do you expect? Number 5. The Musketeer Garrison.
Like a whisper.
Oh, we finally got into the good towers. This tower is surprisingly good, and those who can't use it correctly. This tower is one of the best. Nevertheless, the other towers in this game are just so good. It's forced into a spot way lower than it should be. If compared to more towers, like almost every tower from Vengeance and a lot of them from Origins, it would be much higher. But the Musketeer Garrison right now stands as a perfectly mediocre tower. Sniper Shot is Sniper Shot. With 1.5 times the Musketeer's range, which is already massive, it can seem like if in a centralized position, which is where you want to be positioning the Musketeer anyways, it will have virtually infinite range. And Shrapnel Shot is almost the same. It also does just that much damage. But it's only 0.5 times the range instead of 1.5, which means it's a short range ability. But that also means if you can control the influx of enemies coming into that range, you can control who gets hit. That's not really common though. This tower acts as the sniper. This tower is the high damage tower that you want to use rather than the Arcane Wizard. Unless you're dealing with highly armored enemies like Dark Knight or Dark Slayer. If you're dealing with those though, I'd rather use a Tenshi because he has true damage. Number 5. The Ranger's Hideout. These guys are so close with the Musketeers. I mean, come on. They're one of the most versatile towers in the series. But they they can't do a single role as well as the Musketeers can do theirs. That is what costs them a somehow even higher position on the list. They would have made it to top 3, but they don't. Not nearly. It's by a small margin, but they don't do any single thing well enough. Number 3. Tesla X104.
Judge.
Okay, I know a lot of you are going to be mad for me saying that the Tesla is not number 2 or 1. But there are reasons why the other 2 towers do outclass it slightly. The first and main reason that I see, when I buy barracks, I buy them for crowd control, and the Tesla is not really good at that. The Tesla, maybe it's a decent at that, but if I want crowd control, I'll either get the Ranges or the Bertha. Maybe even a Howitzer would work. But the Tesla, no, they're not someone I would think of. The Tesla excels at taking out chunky enemies, so they do what the Arcane Wizard could have done. Their abilities just allow them to gain slightly better crowd control, but that's not what they're supposed to do. And gain even better crowd control, which is also not what they're supposed to do. But nevertheless, it still does more damage, which does serve their purpose anyways. They have such a focus on just crowd control, and yet they're supposed to be used for damage. That's one of the main problems I have with them. And I don't really have many other problems. I mean, maybe they're expensive, but Berthas are still more expensive. And I don't like to factor in cost anyways, but still, this tower is a solid number 3. Number 2, the 500mm Big Bertha.
Say hello to my little friend!
Trust me, I'm not a Bertha simp. If you don't know what Bertha simps are, it's these people who say Berthas are really good under a certain circumstance. I still think they're better than the Tesla, but I don't think by that much. Tesla and Bertha are as close as Ranger and Musketeer, which is very close. The Bertha serves the traditional role of an artillery way better than the Tesla. They are very good at crowd control, and I'll say that. Sure, they're slow, but I don't count speed into being bad unless it's directly affecting the tower's usefulness, like the melting furnace. Nevertheless, the Bertha's cluster bombs can save my... I can't tell you how many times it saved my ass in like the Dark Tower or some other level where there's like one enemy that's gonna leak through and make me get 2 stars, but then the Bertha just saves me, like, oh my god. Like, the missiles also has extreme range and damage, which is very useful, especially in levels like the Dark Tower where there's so many random enemies that can sneak through. If you like put one in the front, the rogue missile goes flying and hits an enemy in the back. Damn, this is one of the most satisfying things I've ever seen. Plus, it's got high damage anyways, so I don't think you would have any reason to say this tower is that bad. And number 1, Sorcerer Mage. I don't understand myself how I put the Sorcerer here. I mean, it's a good tower, it's always been a good tower. But I mean, it doesn't attack fast, it's a support tower at its heart. It has Summon Golem, which summons a Golem to block. This supports a role really well. It's like Paladins, but if you don't have a strategic one, just build this one. Though it is pretty expensive. It has Polymorph, which is an insta-kill, but you need to tap the sheep. Because if you don't, they're unblockable, so they just sneak past your defense and get into your base. It's annoying, but the Sorcerer has a passive. Every enemy takes, I think, 1.5 times damage every time for a certain number of time when they get hit by the Sorcerer. I mean, this is fine, I guess. The Sorcerer is good, it's been good, we've all known it's good, but we never knew just how good it was until we examined it. And that leaves the Towers of Kingdom Rush to be completed. I'm pretty sure this is the first time I've ever said this on this channel, but please subscribe. This video took me very long to make. I don't even know when I'll post this. Maybe this will be a 100 subs special, maybe not. I honestly don't even know anymore. Anyways, please subscribe. Also, watch any other video. I don't really care, just watch another video. This video took me a long time, and I am totally not hinting within the video of what videos I'm going to make on this series later. I'm gonna make a bunch of videos on this series. It's genuinely one of my favorite and probably one of the best tower defense games series ever. Be sure to like and subscribe and watch another video.